I'm in love with a man, but I don't know who he is, where he's going, or when.
Susan like this made Joe filled with reluctance to part. He went to Bill again and proposed that he wanted to take Susan away with him that night. This was unacceptable to Bill. He could face death calmly, but he absolutely would not allow Joe to deprive Susan of her future. He rebuked Joe, saying that he didn't understand love at all. Love was about responsibility, keeping promises, and more importantly, not hurting the one you loved. And Joe's love was too selfish. He hadn't even told Susan about his true identity.
Why didn't you tell her? Try it out on her. See what happens.
Bill's words left Joe confused. He also didn't know whether Susan loved the man who had fallen in love with her at first sight in the cafe or the Grim Reaper who was now in a relationship with her. In the end, he decided to tell Susan his true identity. But Susan suddenly brought up the matter of their first meeting in the cafe.
Remember that morning in the coffee shop? What's wrong with taking care of a woman? She takes care of you. And I said you'd have a hard time finding a woman like that these days. Why, you found one, Joe.
Susan's words made Joe suddenly realize that he couldn't take Susan away with him. Bill was right. Love was about giving rather than taking. He felt the taste of heartache for the first time. The two hugged for a moment, and Susan vaguely sensed his true identity.
You're someone else.
You know who I am.
You're Joe.
Although scared, Susan still believed that he was Joe, the man who had fallen in love with her at first sight, and the Grim Reaper who she had developed feelings for over time, both existing in the same body. Susan called Joe's name over and over again to seek comfort, and Joe also promised her that he would always be the man who met her in the cafe. On the other side, amidst the cheers of the crowd, Bill went up on stage to give a speech. He reflected on his life without any regrets. 65 years had passed quickly, and he had no more regrets. He pushed through the crowd to find Susan and danced the last dance of his life with her. Looking at the fireworks blooming in the night sky, Joe's eyes were filled with sadness. Bill told him that he didn't want to let go, but he had to leave. That was life. The two walked in the direction of the bridge and gradually disappeared. Susan turned around and just saw their backs. She quickly chased after them. And soon, Joe appeared again and walked towards her slowly. The Grim Reaper had taken away Susan's father, who loved her the most, but he had brought back the person Susan loved the most. The man at this moment was no longer the Grim Reaper. Instead, he was the blonde handsome guy who had fallen in love with her at first sight in the cafe. He told Susan the story of their encounter in the cafe that morning. Susan looked at the excited man in front of her and seemed to guess something. Then she responded with a smile.
I said, I like you so much.
She understood that it was the Grim Reaper who had made him return to the human world to love her instead of Joe. There were always regrets in life, so there was no need to force things. Love should be free.